Hello. The purpose of this presentation is to share information regarding the upcoming changes in payroll processing for IHSS providers. California's IHSS programs will soon be using a new computer system, CMIPS II. CMIPS stands for Case Management Information and Payrolling System. IHSS providers will receive new CMIPS II timesheets when the San Francisco County processes the last period using the old system. What does CMIPS II mean to IHSS providers? For IHSS providers, this means new timesheets with new rules on how to fill them out. A new timesheet processing system. And finally, because the timesheets will be processed by computer scanners in a new facility in Chico, California, possible delays in receiving paychecks may occur. So what does the new CMIPS II timesheet look like, you ask? Well, this is the front of the new CMIPS II timesheet. Notice that there are three parts. Part 1, the top section. The top section includes San Francisco County Social Services Agency's name and address. Notice the example of how to record time on the right side of the page. Part 2, the instructions. Here you'll find important instructions on how to complete this timesheet correctly. And finally, Part 3, provider information. Now this is the most important part of the timesheet. Part 3 shows the provider number, provider name, recipient case number, recipient name, and how many hours and minutes are worked. Once completed, the recipient cuts this part along the dotted line, removes it from the rest of the timesheet, and puts it into an envelope to be mailed. This is the back of the CMIPS II timesheet. There are two parts to the back of the timesheet. Part 1, the instructions. Important instructions translated into Spanish, Armenian, and Chinese are in this section. Part 2, the provider's declaration. Remember, only cut or detach along the dotted line after both the recipient and the provider have signed the declaration verifying true and correct information is being submitted. So what's new about the timesheets, you ask? The way the hours worked are reported. Now with the old way, time worked had to be converted into decimals and recorded on the timesheets that way. With the new way, as shown on this slide, time worked is recorded in hours and minutes. In hours and minutes. Also, the direction in which days are marked have changed. With the old way, time worked was marked on the timesheet horizontally, and with the new way, time worked is now marked on the timesheet vertically. Take a look at the example for the 5th of the month. It shows 10 hours worked. Shown here is another view of the new timesheet. When CMIPS II converts, you will receive these timesheets automatically. The way a provider reports a change of address changes as well. With the old system, you simply made note of your new address or phone number on the back of the timesheet. This will not work with the new timesheets. To report a change of address, a Form SOC 840 is completed and mailed to the IHSS Provider Enrollment Center at 77 Otis Street in San Francisco. How can you get a change of address and/or telephone form, SOC 840? There are three ways. IHSS providers can come to the Provider Enrollment Center at 77 Otis in San Francisco, or you can call 415-557-6200, or even visit the DOS website and download Form SOC 840 at www.sfhsa.org/137.htm. So what is new about the timesheet process? In the old way of doing things, timesheets were processed by San Francisco IHSS program staff. Now, with a new way of doing things, computer scanners will process all the timesheets in a state-of-the-art processing facility in Chico, California. So what is new about the timesheet process? All CMIPS II timesheets must be mailed to the timesheet processing facility in Chico, California. So, instead of mailing your timesheets to us in San Francisco, you will now mail all new timesheets to the timesheet processing facility in Chico. The biggest change in the new system is that a computer, not a person, will read your timesheet. Remember, computers cannot read timesheets like people can. Computers will reject timesheets it can't read. So IHSS providers must fill out new timesheets very carefully to avoid payment delays. So what happens to the timesheets the computer can't recognize? Timesheets the computer can't recognize are sent to San Francisco IHSS payment staff to analyze the problem. The IHSS payment staff attempt to process, then pay out payment due. However, if the payroll staff are unable to process the timesheets for whatever reason, staff will contact the IHSS provider to help correct the problem. Please note that for the provider, this may mean a new timesheet may be necessary. So how long will it take to be paid? Once timesheets are received by the Chico facility, paychecks are issued within 10 working days. Paychecks will continue to be mailed from Sacramento, so please allow 2 to 3 additional days for mailing time. Why will it take longer to receive payment using the new system? Well, there are a few reasons you need to know. First, once the system changes, staff will be unable to process timesheets for up to 3 days. Second, timesheets are now mailed to the Chico facility instead of San Francisco. And finally, if the computer is unable to recognize a timesheet, it is sent to the San Francisco location for further processing. Have questions about timesheets or paychecks? Call the IHSS Provider Help Desk at 415-557-6200. Staff will answer questions about whether your timesheet has been scanned and your paycheck issued. You can call the IHSS Provider Union at 1-866-554-3120. We ask that you do not call the following people: the IHSS social worker, DOS intake, or the IHSS public authority. They will not be able to answer questions about your timesheets or paychecks. Here's what you can do to prevent delays. Get direct deposit. That way you won't have to wait for the mail. Are you interested in direct deposit? Call 1-866-376-7066. Don't mail your timesheet to the Chico facility until you've completed all the work for the pay period. Otherwise, it will be rejected. And be careful, avoiding making common mistakes when filling out the timesheet. A timesheet with errors will be rejected. This slide shows the correct way to fill out the new timesheets. Use black ink. Write only single digits in a box. Only fill out boxes for days you've worked, and finally use hours and minutes instead of converting time to decimals. Timesheets must be completed right side up with the provider number box on the top as shown on this slide. Both the provider and the recipient must sign and date the back side of the timesheet. You can leave the total hours blank. If you make a mistake with total hours, don't worry about it. The computer doesn't read the total hours box, it only reads the daily hours. Please note that the computer will not process timesheets with attached pay stubs. Always remember to detach the timesheet before putting it into the envelope. The computer will not process timesheets with attached pay stubs. We've seen the right way to complete the timesheet. Now, let's review some examples of timesheets completed the wrong way. Notice the slide on the left. Do not write in the boxes on days you did not work. Do not add X's, lines, or zeros. Remember, don't put fractions in the box. We no longer use fractions or decimals. Also remember, don't put two digits in the same box. Remember, write only one digit per box. Don't write outside the boxes. It will confuse the scanner. Don't write sideways in the boxes. Don't fill out boxes with decimals. And don't fill out numbers upside down. Don't write things other than numbers in the boxes. No letters. Remember, don't write over the barcode. Or write over your mistakes or use whiteout. If you make a really bad mistake, you will have to request a new timesheet. Don't include sticky notes or other attachments to the timesheet. This jams up the scanner. Don't use pencil, red ink, gel pens, or glitter pens. The scanner can't read them. And finally, don't fold the timesheet. It can get caught in the scanner. Here are some important points to remember. Remember that timesheets are now processed by a computer. The computer needs to be able to read the numbers on your timesheet. Remember, the total hours box does not need to be filled in. And finally, remember that both the recipient and the provider must sign and date the timesheet only after work is completed. Here's a tip. Practice. Practice writing in hours and minutes on a practice timesheet. Then transfer the information to an actual timesheet. Practice timesheets are available at the IHSS Provider Enrollment Center at 77 Otis, or you can download the practice form at the IHSS website at www.sfhsa.org/137.htm. Let's recap. Remember, new timesheets will be read by a computer in Chico, California. Because your timesheets are now sent to Chico, it will take up to 10 days to process timesheets and an additional 2 to 3 days for mailing time. For help, you can call IHSS staff at 415-557-6200 or SEIU at 1-866-554-3120. Remember our tip, avoid mistakes. Use a practice timesheet, then transfer the information to the actual timesheet. Remember, Practice is key. So where can you get practice filling out these timesheets again? Get practice filling out timesheets at one of these locations: the IHSS Public Authority at 415-243-4477, the Union Hall at 1338 Mission Street, or SEIU at 1-866-554-3120, or you can come directly to the IHSS Independent Provider Enrollment Center at 77 Otis Street. Thank you for watching.